Gateway Gamers podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Gateway Games Podcast. My name is Bryan, coming at you with a solo episode. Just a little heads up, the next couple months are going to be a little busy, so some episodes may look like this. We're going to try to get together at least once a month for RP and I to record an episode, but there may be some solo episodes for a while, as I am student teaching, so I'm going to be busy with that a lot, and then as well as my own classroom, kind of getting back into the swing of things. But enough of that, let's get right into what we're here to talk about today. If you saw the title, today we're talking about The Grass is Greener. The Grass is Greener is a Target exclusive game as of now, and if you've been following us on Instagram, or you know me, you know I've been championing this game. This summer, I've played this game a lot, and I'm here to tell you why today, so let's dive right in. Grass is Greener came out in 2023, plays for 2 to 6 players, ages 13 plus, plays for about 20 to 45 minutes, designed by Joe Harold and artist Katie Harold, so it's a married couple working together to create a game, which is always great to see. And I think it's published by Making Lemonade Games. This is their first game they ever published and put out, and I hope they make more because they did a great job. Grass is Greener is a turn-based card game where your goal is to impress the HOA member that is chosen and to win Yard of the Month. During the game, you will play beautiful gardens, adorable decorations, or tacky flamingos into your own yard, all while defending your yard from other players that want to drop literal crap into it. Setup is easy. Each player lays down 3 side plot cards in front of them. You shuffle each player 5 cards. You draw 3 deck cards from the main deck, and they kind of lay out in front of you. And then you draw an HOA board member to be face up, and that's kind of who you're impressing during the game to win at the end. And what I mean by that is there are 10 different HOA members that you could kind of select, and each one has its own little thing that they kind of will give extra points for or give negative points for. So if I pull out Walter, he has a chainsaw and is a woodworker. So every tree that you have in your yard is an extra point at the end of the game. If you have the hedge trimmers, it's an extra 2 points. The next person is Barb, who's a bird watcher. So if you have birds in your yard, you get an extra point. If you have a garden in your yard, you get an extra point. And she likes statues, so if you have statues, you get extra points. So each game, you're going to pick one of these characters, and that's kind of going to be your goal, just to get extra points. You don't have to play towards them, but if you want to, it definitely helps to kind of play toward the HOA member to get some extra points, just to get a little bit of leverage at the end of the game. And then on your turn, you have 3 actions. It's super simple. You can draw or play. You could do it any combination that you want. You could draw 3 cards, and that's the end of your turn. You could draw 2 cards, play 1 card. You could play 3 cards that turn if that's what you want to do. So there's 2 ways to draw a card. You could draw a card from the draw pile, which is just a random card that you don't know what you're getting. Or, as I said at the beginning with setup, the 3 that you have in the middle are cards that are face up, and if you want one of them, you can take one of them. And then at the end of your turn, you just replace one of the 3 from the top card of the draw pile. And as I kind of said, the goal of the game is to make your yard as beautiful as possible with various cards you kind of have that give you different points. The points kind of stack on each other depending on the card. It's really interesting. So you have your 3 plot cards, and then you have improvement cards. So improvement cards are like trees and flowers. There's various different things that they kind of do. There's rocks. Again, like you're kind of playing toward the HOA member. So if the one HOA member I know likes trees, I'm going to try to play more trees in my yard. There's also impairments, which you could play on other characters' plots to give them negative points or to slow them down in certain ways. There's petty scheme cards, which are like one-time use. They give various abilities. And then there's garage cards, which are a lot more like tools and stuff, and they kind of go to the left of your playing area for different abilities and different powers. There's things that stay out, or there's one-time use type cards. Each card then has a subtype iconography at the top of the card, which helps to create combos, and like as I said, HOA members will be looking for certain things, so these are easy way to discern the type of cards. There's the tacky symbol, which is a lawn flamingo, and that's for tacky type of things that you kind of use in your yard, such as lawn flamingos and tree men things that you put on your tree to make it look like they have a face. There's inflatables in the game of different types, so they all have the tacky symbol. Sabotage symbol, which is like a fire symbol, so that just lets you know that those are cards that can sabotage other players. There's a little flower, which means a garden, so there's different garden type cards of obviously flowers and fake flowers and different types like that. Plant symbol, which is a leaf. Obvious again, just different variety of plants. The tree symbols, trees. There's bird symbols for birds that you can kind of play. There's flags that you can play. It's a little flag symbol. There's a small patriotic flag all the way to a giant obnoxious patriotic flag. Rocks, you could just have like a rock garden or a zen garden. Equipment is a little wrench, and that just kind of discerns things that are equipment based. A lot of things that go in your garage are equipment. And then there's varmint cards, which are like a little rat iconography, and that just shows just cards that you'd play in other people's yards. There's a squirrel army card. There's a few other rodents, such as raccoons, that you can kind of play on other people or towards yourself to kind of help. And it's really easy. Like it's the iconography, the graphic design of the cards are very well done. The cards are very easy to read. They're bright. There's fun text on them, but it's not. You don't have to read them completely. Each card has its own little like flavor text to it. Just a kind of little fun thing to kind of read. Like one of my favorite cards, the permanent borrower card. It's just like basically like you're borrowing tools off your neighbors and not giving it back, and the flavor text just says like, "Are you sure? I could have sworn I'd given that back." Just like fun little things. Each card has like little flavor text to it that just kind of adds to it. Just something fun to read while you're waiting for other people to go. So that's a breakdown of all the cards and how to play. The goal of the game is basically just get the most points. Once one of the players puts 3 permanent items into each row of their sod card. So it's like once you have 9 things down, like 3 on the first, 3 on the second, 3 on the third, the game's over no matter how many items other players have. So it's a good balance of a race that you want to fill your own sod plant and build your own yard up as quickly as you can while also slowing other players down or kind of navigating the balance of whether or not you want to be heavy on screwing other people or kind of focusing on yourself and your own agenda. So as you can tell, I'm pretty high on this game. I really enjoy it. So I'm going to kind of break down just some of the things I like, maybe some little criticisms, but not much I kind of have. The first thing is the theme. I love the theme. The theme is incredibly unique. I can't think of really too many games that kind of have this theme of like HOA members and building up your yard and like a card style. There's definitely like games where you kind of build your area, but not like this. Like I think it's really unique to kind of have that you're just trying to get the yard of the month in a little neighborhood by impressing one of the HOA members and kind of battling with your neighbors, because I'm sure it happens. I know the designers themselves have like a million flamingos and inflatables, which inspired them to create this game, which I think is really interesting. Each card feels super thematic to the game. There's not, like kind of playing, there's not too many cards that don't feel like it doesn't fit or like the power that they have is tacked on. You could tell this game was really thought out, really makes sense. I'm going to go through some of the cards and like what I'm talking about. So one of the improvements is just a big rock. It's just a picture of a giant rock. It's just a +1 for the end game. And at the bottom it just says, big rock is permanent. Cannot be moved by any cards. Because it's a giant rock. Like, it just makes sense. Dropping a deuce, as I said at the beginning, you literally could drop poop on other people's lawns. But it's -2 points for where you play it on someone else's lawn. But again, like what's really interesting and what's really thought out is if you drop the deuce is attached to another person's lawn, if they're using artificial turf, which is an upgrade you can do to your sod, it's -2. Otherwise, it's -1. And the thinking behind that is if you've cleaned up dog poop off grass, not that big of a deal. However, if you cleaned up dog poop off like fake plastic like turf, it's a pain in the ass. So it's neat that they're just like, if it's artificial turf, it's a little more annoying. Some of the other cards I like are Surveillance, which is something that goes in your garage and it keeps a player from sabotaging you. So you're watching your neighbors, you're seeing what they're up to, so they can't screw you over too much. Motion lights kind of do the same thing, but only once. It just kind of shows like your neighbors creeping in your yard, and the lights turn on, and now they know. Like next time they can't creep in, so it only works once. As I said, permanent borrower. You borrow or you remove a card from any garage and put it in your own garages if you're borrowing it. Again, like very thematic, not just some tacked on like, it just gets rid of an item. Like you're taking a garage item from someone else and putting it in your own. Dumpster diving, you're diving into the trash, the discard pile to get a card. The birdhouse is worth more if it's hanging from a tree. It's worth 2 points as compared to 1. Again, just kind of makes sense. Teenage Driver is a petty scheme card you can play on someone else, and it removes an improvement from any yard. So the thinking is that the Teenage Driver is a terrible driver, and they're driving up to your lawn and taking out your mailbox, which is literally the picture it kind of has. Target practice, there's a BB gun, and you're removing an inflatable that's in someone's yard. The trees, which I said are really cool. You can only play 1 per plot, just because they're so big. Like it just, again, like thematically makes sense. You can't just play a billion trees on your yard, because in a neighborhood you wouldn't have giant trees just in your yard. And then one of my other favorite cards, which is only one in the game, it's a petty scheme. It's called Scorched Earth, and it's a gasoline cannon fire, and you remove and discard all attached improvements and impairments from any plot. So you're basically just lighting someone's plot on fire, and they're getting rid of everything they have. I've seen that card used, and it's pretty brutal. But it's fun to not be on the receiving end of it and just see somebody's hard work just be like, oh, okay. Like I guess I completely lost the engine I was building. Like it's a devastating card, which is why there's only 1 in the deck. But like I said, every card, like it fits. Like none of these cards are just like, I don't know why this is doing that. Like you look at it and you go, oh, okay, like this is why this does this. Every card feels like it's supposed to do what it's doing. There's no cards in the deck where I'm just like, it doesn't make much sense. Every card makes sense to the theme, which is really important if you know we love theme here, and this game truly just oozes the theme that it's trying to create. Next, the components. It comes in a tiny box, which is good. It's just a deck of, I think, 176 different cards. They all fit perfectly in the box. I'm going to say it's like 6 inches tall, 3 inches wide. Like it's just a really small, portable card game. The card stock it's good. It's maybe like a little too thick, where if it gets bent, it gets that weird like crease. And then I don't know how to explain it, but some of my cards are like chipping in the corner. I don't know if it's just a card stock. So that's a bit annoying, but not a huge deal. It really depends how much is getting played, which is getting played a lot. So some of the cards are getting a little beat up. And then there's no room in the box for sleeved cards. I'm a big believer in sleeving my cards, so I got to make the decision of, do I sleeve these cards to keep the game, and I have to get rid of the box and put it in a different box? It's just something down the road I might have to deal with. Or, fingers crossed, they come out with a expansion of some kind. Maybe they create a little bit of a bigger box to fit all the cards with sleeves, if you guys are listening. Or I'll just figure it out. It's not a big deal. I have enough deck boxes I could fit this game in. But that's it. Other than that, components are great. It's just a bunch of cards. The rule book is really well done. It's not necessary because they did something that I think every game should do. They have one card, or not one card. They have a bunch of cards, like 6 of them in a deck. That's called the dummy guide. It's literally all you need to set up, to play. You just throw one of them at somebody who's playing. They have everything I need. I don't think I've even opened a rule book since I've kind of gotten this game. It's well done. Just kind of everything you need on one card. That's how easy this game is. And something I've kind of created for some of my other games. Because most of the times I'll get a game out if I've played in a while. I'm like, how I don't remember the exact setup. Then I have to get the rules out, the rule book. But it's like I started creating a little index cards that basically do this. It's just how to set it up, how many cards to give to each player, and then that's it. Because I remember how to play, but sometimes just the setup is where I kind of need a little reminder. Replay for this game, replay value is super high. I love games with good replay, and this is one of them. Has like I said, 178 cards a deck, but over 150 are the playable cards, and you're never going to go through the deck in one game. Maybe you're playing 6 players, which I haven't played yet, but I played mostly 2, maybe 4 players, and we've never gone through the deck. Someone usually finishes before you can kind of cull through the deck. And then also, as I said, with the HOA members, you're drawing 1 out of 10 each time. So that's going to be a different thing. And each time you play, there's a different, like, not win goal, but different goals to kind of work toward. So your strategy is always going to be different. If you want to play for one of the guys that loves plants, you're going to play a lot more plants. If you're going to play for one of the characters loves rocks in your yard, you're going to play for rocks in the yard. If you're going to play one of the characters doesn't like, there's negative points for every vermin in your yard, you're going to play a lot more vermin card on other players to kind of slow them down. So it's neat because you always be like, all right, like I have an idea, I'm going to go after these cards and that card. But with the HOA members giving positive and negative points depending on how you're playing, your strategy might not always work. And I think that's really cool that there's not a guaranteed strategy to this game. Plus, there's so many cards, you may never see all the kind of cards that are in there. You might not always get the card that you need, so there's a lot of room for replayability. I played this easily, probably over 20 times at this point, just because it's such an easy game to kind of pull out and teach to people who've never played games before, or it's just an easy transport and setup kind of game. And I'm not tired of it. Like, I just constantly, as I said, there's so many cards. There's cards I probably still have never really played. There's cards that just bounce off each other in such unique ways that I might not have seen combos. So replayability is huge. Definitely gonna get your money's worth. Which I don't think I said. The game MSRP is for $20, which is a steal. Usually I put that in the beginning. I'm just remembering I probably didn't. And then ease of play, super easy. I think it took me 3 minutes to really explain the how to play. It's literally just draw cards, play cards, and that's it. Some of the cards might not make sense right away, but they're not overly complicated. There's not a lot of text. It's just like, okay, like you might need help with, I think a couple of the cards are just like really combo off each other. There's one where you're running for to be an HOA member, and you need to have one card before you play the other card. So that might be a little confusing. But other than that, it's just like, play this here, it does this. Play that there, it does this. +1 point with this. It's super simple. This is definitely one of my gateway games that I'll kind of use to teach people games because it's so easy. So like if I need just a quick card game, I think this might be the one I kind of pull out just to introduce to people. And lastly, luck. Luck and strategy. I think this game, I mean, it's a bit luck heavy. You kind of don't know what's coming out, but you can mitigate that with a lot of the cards. A lot of the cards help with drawing and kind of manipulation of the deck, but it's a bit luck heavy. So if you're not a fan of that, it's like an average luck of card games. And strategy, like I said, is ever changing, but it's there. Like you can have an idea of what you want to do and still not be too affected by the HOA members. So with that, that's kind of it. I think Grass is Greener is a fantastic game. I think it's a great gateway game. I think it's a great family game. I think it's a great, I mean, even hardcore player game. I think this is a great like filler game in between games. I think each time I played this, it says 20 to 45 minutes. 45 minutes has to be at 6 players. I think each game I've kind of played this is like 15, 20 minutes max with people that know how to play. Because it's not hard to fill up your yards with items and stuff that you're kind of drawing. And then, like I said, the mitigation of you can play 3 cards on the turn. You could fill up your yard pretty quickly if you have like a good combination of cards. So I think this is a great game just all around. Gateway, family, filler game for more experienced players. I can't say enough good things about this game. I'm looking forward and hoping that Making Lemonade Games is going to come out with more games in the future, or more expansions to this even. They can create different holiday type expansions to add more without changing too much. Just more cards would be fun, just kind of add to this game. More HOA members for end game stuff. Like, just that's it. You don't need to break the mold. It's just a little bit more and different variety, just to add even more replayability to a game that already has great replayability. So it's Grass is Greener from Making Lemonade Games, available at Target now. MSRPs for $19.99, which I've said before, anything under $20 is basically free. So I would definitely check it out. All right, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media platforms. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, we have Threads, Twitter. Instagram is where probably the most active, with pictures of the games that we're talking about and various things that we're up to. We have Redbubble, we have TeePublic for merchandise. If you want to jump on and support us, grab a t-shirt, grab a sticker even. It's like $3, but it helps us out. Thank you so much for listening, and see you soon.